this meeting. My colleagues Ilaria Zauli, Andrea D'Aprile, and Alessandro Pistillo that organized this event that we will attend today, and organize and ask and acknowledge also all the speakers that we have today. We have a very diversified set of speakers that range from the academia and the private sector. What we will look at today is how we can integrate innovation in technologies to create sustainable vertical farming systems. And we have a quite dense agenda in the next almost 3 hours to look at at many of the innovations that are taking place in the sector. Without taking any more time, I'll pass the floor to Andrea, who will be chairing this meeting, and Ilaria, who will start with an introduction on why we are here today and what we are doing at the University of Bologna. So please, Andrea and Ilaria, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea D'Aprile, and I would like to welcome here all the speakers and all the participants to this event. So the event will be divided in 4 sessions, and for each session, we will have 2 speakers, one from the research world and one from the industrial and from the industrial world. Each speaker will have 10 minutes, so I kindly remember to the speaker, and I kindly ask the speaker to stay in time with their presentation. And at the end of each session, we will have 15 minutes for Q&A, so for question and answer. So if you will have a question during the Q&A moment, you can book your position by using the hand tool that you have here on Teams, or by writing on the chat. So I will take note of who is booked the question, and we will leave you the microphone. During the presentation, I kindly remind to all people to maintain switch off the microphone until it's their moment to speak. So now I leave the floor to my colleague Ilaria Zauli.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will now introduce you to the Alma V Farm facility that we have here in Bologna. I will share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ilaria Zauli. I'm a PhD candidate here at the Department of Agriculture and Food Sciences at the University of Bologna. And I'm now presenting you our experimental vertical farm facility that we have here in our department, which is called Alma V Farm. Alma V Farm is a place where we grow food and skills, competencies. Indeed, the main goal of our facility is to the education, the research, and the dissemination activities. In particular, in our facility, we host several students carrying out their internship, thesis, but also additional activities that are part of the university course of our department. And of course, we also carry out different research activities for our PhD project, or also for the research fellowship, and in particular focusing on different growing systems, lights, nutrient solution management. And lastly, we also deal with the dissemination activities, as we are part of several European and national projects, and we carry out several visits during our in our day to not only for academia and companies, but also to citizens and schools that would like to know more about vertical farming. We have several dissemination activities also because we are, Alma Farm is part of a European Horizon 2020 project, which is called the Food System in European Cities. And in particular, Alma Farm is actually one of the pilot of this European project. And in the image here, you can see all the different pilot that have been created within this Horizon project. But Alma Farm is therefore really into the dissemination and educational activities. As you can see in this video, we have organized several activities with the students, and you can see here that really can spend time here managing on their own different activities that can be from managing the systems to the final measurements. But Alma Farm is also a case study of another project, which is called Sustainable Vertical Farming, VFarm, which is a project funded by the Italian Ministry of Education and Research. And within VFarm, that include a consortium of 4 different Italian universities, Bologna, Naples, Padua, and Turin. The aim is to carry out research in Alma Farm to implement a sustainable and innovative vertical farming within the Italian context. Briefly, I will tell you some of our technologies that we have in our facility. Is a completely controlled environment where we can regulate temperature, relative humidity, and of course also carbon dioxide concentration. It's also a completely closed loop facility with full transpiration water recovery. And we can also have different fertigation units at the same time, in particular 6 different independent fertigation units. We have 2 main growing systems. One is the ebb and flow, and one is the aeroponic growing systems. And within this facility, we have 10 different sectors of ebb and flow and 12 different aeroponic sector. We also have 3 different growing systems for the germination of plants, and each system is actually composed by different layers in order also to have different replicates of the same light treatments. I say light because we are different LEDs lighting regulation. Indeed, we have dimmable LED lights with different light wavelength, and we can have up to 25 different light treatments at the same time. And we can also regulate not only the spectra, but also the intensity and the photoperiod within each of our lamps. And coming to the end of my presentation, our research mainly focus on working on several species, not only lettuce and basil, where we have already some experience, but also trying to explore different species. For example, microtome, maize, rice, different brassica species such as kale or turnip greens, but also flowers and, for example, strawberry. Our research mainly focus also on light management, dealing with the light integral, intensity, spectra, photoperiod, but also dynamic lights, to name a few. And lastly, our research also focus a lot on trying to improve the yield of our cultivation and how to increase the use efficiency of light, energy, water, and nutrients in our 2 different growing systems, ebb and flow and aeroponic cultivation. To conclude, I remind you that in January we will have the 3rd international workshop on vertical farming here in Bologna, organized by our group and our university. And it's going to be a moment where not only we will have a lineup of illustrious keynote speakers, but also several companies involved in the sector that will join, and it will be a moment to explore the latest innovation in this sector. Therefore, if you are interested, you can find here the website and mail QR code to contact us or discover more about this event. And I thank you all for the listening.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ilaria. Now we can proceed with the first session. So the first session is next steps in vertical farm. So I leave the floor to Eri Ayashi from the Japan Plant Factory Association. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, can you hear? Yes.
Okay. Okay, can you see the slides okay?
Yeah, you might want to have it on a full screen, Ari.
Sorry, Eri, we can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear now?
Yes, now yes, thank you.
And can you see the slides now?
Yeah, they are not on a full screen, but we can still see them.
Okay, so probably I will start now like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for the kind invitation. I'm happy to be sharing the plant factory in Japan, especially on what's the next step towards a plant phenotype-based environmental control. So JPFA from Japan Plant Factory Association is a not-for-profit organization supported by 200 members. We do applied research with the collaboration with academia and the industry, and then also dissemination activities. And also we are welcoming research internship that we sometimes receive university students to work together for research and extension programs. So we are located on the campus on the...
Excuse me, Eri. I think we can't see your full screen, so we see only the first slide. If you want to, you can also move from the... So either you have to put it on a full screen with F5 or...
Yeah, I think
you can move it like this otherwise, yeah.
Okay, I think this is better then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I think over here. Okay, so we are on the city called Kashiwanoha campus. So it's like a showcase of housing, working on the greenhouse and on also plant factory, also known as a vertical farm. So it's like a show. It's like a demonstration of applied research, but also introducing the new technology with a collaboration with academia in industry. So this is a map that you can see on greenhouse and plant factory. Many different research topics include indoor breeding projects or seed propagation strawberries or automation or phenotyping. So we are in the city called Kashiwanoha. It's a smart city. So since 2010, we've been working in this smart city. So there are different kinds of plant factory in the city, like for home use or even for the restaurants or seedlings or large-scale commercial productions. And then there's also large-scale commercial production, which is a profitable plant factory in Kashiwanaha called Mirai. They are producing leafy greens and then also supplying the basil. And interestingly, there are some restaurants or supermarket that actually sell the plant factory produce in the city. And then one of our favorite is this restaurant that was a hamburger restaurant that they use only plant factory grown lettuce. So they just buy the 100% plant factory lettuce. And then we just noticed that one of the challenges that we have now is that the citizens don't know much about the taste of the plant factory. So they are getting familiar with this technology, but now I think it's a phase that we need to explain more on the good flavor of this plant factory grown lettuce. And then also we work a lot to introduce this technology to citizens because this is a new technology. So sometimes we offer tour for the kids and then lots of activities and festivals. So, all right. So the plant factory with artificial lighting on PFAL, that also known as vertical farm. I think you are all familiar with how they can contribute to sustainabilities, but also besides contributing the global challenges, food, energy, resource, environment, but also it has a great potential to contribute at the same time to improve the quality of life. So I think it's the next step that we can discuss more on the possibility of how we can use this technology in a different way and how we can make people happier using this technology. So the biggest characteristics of the plant factory is that the cultivation room is highly airtight and thermally insulated. So since it's complete closedness, we can easily visualize the input and an output or even the waste in hourly rate. And so that it will simplify to analyze without using the complicated growth model. And then we can have relatively more accurate data. So this is an example of the visualization of this technology. So you can easily calculate the net photosynthesis rate or water uptake rate or transpiration rate just by putting the sensor. Because simply, since it's closed environment, the net photosynthesis is almost equal to the CO2 supply rate. So with this closeness, I think it's the biggest advantage to have this complete closeness that makes everything simple. So that having the time series data makes us to do the analysis on RIV rate so that you can analyze not just at the harvest, but also you can analyze in the process of the plant development. But also, as you know, that there's so much interaction between plant response to the environment, even management, besides the genotype. And then since we are not growing only one plant, but also there's a plant community. So even there's a competition among plants. So that makes everything complicated to find the ultimate set point for the environmental control. So the next step is that after visualizing what is going on, but the next step that we need to achieve that the plant phenotype-based environmental control, that's not only putting the set point, but also we need to understand what is going on with the interaction between phenotype and a microenvironment or management. And then also taking into account the business related factors, like even the density or market demand or situation or the electricity price, so that we'll find, considering also the business related factors, environment control can be achieved. And also this can apply to the breeding. So let me briefly share the history and a current situation of plant factory market in Japan. So historically, the commercial production started in 1980s, of course, using the high pressure sodium lamp. So with that, the cultivation on the tray was just one layer cultivation. But then after that, the 1990s with fluorescence lamp, that there's multi-layers cultivation. And especially after 2009, we call it third generation.
Eddie, the screen sharing just stopped, so if you can reshare it, but only now, so no problem.
Okay. Oh, there's something wrong with this.
If you share it on a full screen, maybe it works better.
Okay. Sorry, that I think I'm having a weird day with this computer.
It's actually a weird night now in Japan, I imagine.
Yeah, it's 10:30. Friday 10:30.
Yeah, sorry for
Okay. Yeah, I think anyway, I'll do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's there again. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So so after 2009, there's more commercial production started. But I like to share this that even the container plant factory was commercialized in 1990s using the high pressure lamp. And then, I think we need to advance this. We need to work together a lot, because I hear a lot of this. People are saying that not many has changed. So I think it's the time that we really need to rethink that, how fast we can advance and how we can work together to accelerate the advancements of this technology. And also on 2006, the spread started first factory in Kyoto with using the fluorescence lamp. The first factory was in the DFT system. Okay, so there's roughly 200 plant factory in Japan. But if you look at the ratio of the scale, there's even the number is stable, but the more larger scale factories operation. And then also, especially after 2017, not only to supermarket, but many factory are selling mass volume to, for example, food service, and including the convenience store. So we can find a plant factory lettuce sandwich in convenience store in Japan. Let's see. So I like to share some of the example of this profitable large-scale production factories. First one is 808 factory in Shizuoka Prefecture. They are working on the data-driven consistent operation that using sensing technology, and then also taking care of the hygiene management. So I'm not sure about the European market, but not the baby leaf, but like each head lettuce, leafy lettuce, but each head is a major product in Japan. So it's not easy to install the automation technology, because you need to care of each head. So this is the average ratio of labor hour per operation process for leafy lettuce production in Japan. So you can see that more than 50% of the hour goes to after harvesting or trimming, checking tip burn. But also,
sorry, Ed. Can I kindly ask to arrive to the conclusion, please, because
sure.
The time is running. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay. Yep. So the important thing for the successful operation is that taking care of the details, and then also creating the standard operation procedure, and then they can check the time, and then taking care of the environmental data, management data, and the phenotype data, and then also improving the resource use efficiency and then productivity. So not only the electricity and electric energy or cultivation area, but the productivity per labor hour is also crucial. And this is also important if you consider the automation. because so that you can understand where to apply the automation and also how to improve the productivity. And then also to achieve the higher productivities, and also phenotyping plays a crucial role. And then if you consider the individual plant growth, not only the plant community, you will understand that the faster the plant grows, but the more varieties you will see among the plant growth. So that the next step is that we need to achieve the more precise environmental control, also considering also the individual plants besides the plant community. And then with the plant factory system, with a distributed plant production platform, not just plant production, but also we can share the data, and then we can achieve the evolutional research outcome, so that we can utilize this technology to enrich our lifestyle. Thank you very much. Apology for the inconvenience of this technical matter today.
Thank you very much, Eri. Thank you very much. Now I can leave the floor to Alessandro Antona, that will speak for the industry agricola moderna. So if you want, you can switch on your microphone. And Eri, can you remove switch off the sharing of your screen, please? Because we still... okay, thank you very much. Okay, Alessandro, when you want, you can start.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I'll start by sharing my screen, I guess. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so for Agricola Moderna, I will give a brief introduction, and then since the topic of the session is the next step in vertical farming, we will present you our case. So what is the next step for the industry Agricola Moderna? Very brief background: we have been the first vertical farm in Italy, in terms of the first one getting to the public market. This is a photo of our current facility. So this is not a facility like a fully large-scale facility, but this is just it's an R&D facility where we also do commercial production. And since 2020, we started commercializing our product through essentially through two channels, which is Carrefour as a supermarket, and Cortilia, which is online supermarket, basically. So our production is mainly at the moment leafy greens and basil, but we don't exclude that we will do more in the future. So given the background, we are now at the point where we are building what will be our definitive large-scale production plant, which will be in Cremona province in Italy, and it will be more than 1 hectare of growing surface. So this is a bit of a rendering, but there is a lot more in the design of this plant, and one big topic was the making this plant efficient in terms of energy consumption. So as you can see here, this plant will consume around 11 to 12,000 megawatt hours of energy per year, and with the breakdown of cold and heat and hot apart from the pure electricity. And the way it will work is by first of all, we will try to capture as much as possible from what comes for free from nature. So there will be solar panels on the farm, and the rest of the energy production will come from a generator that will give electricity to our system. So it will be complementary to the solar panel installation. Plus, the heat produced by this motor will be reused for when it comes to, for example, heating and all the activities that require hot water. And part of it will also be used in an absorption cooler to obtain the cold water. So for cooling processes inside the cell of growing, but also for the production and storing of the finished product. And since this is not enough, unfortunately, we have to integrate it with chillers, which is still driven by electricity. But the most important part of it is that this generator will run completely on a renewable energy source, which is a biogas that will form a consortium with us. So it's a biogas that will be linked to our plant, and we will work together in a synergy. And therefore, there is no fossil fuel being an input to the system. This is very important for us. Apart from being sustainable from that point of view, we also look at this recent paper from a Swedish study, where they compare the energy consumption per kilogram of fresh product produced in open and closed greenhouses, as well as in vertical farms in multiple places in the world. And thanks to very detailed simulation work we did, which, by the way, we will present in VertiFarm 2024, so stay tuned for that. We came to the calculation that in the new production facility, Agricola Moderna will have energy efficiency of less than 10 kilowatts hour per kilogram of fresh product. So as you can see from the graph, this will put us in a very high competitive position compared to other vertical farms in the world, right? As of 2021, so it's 2 years ago. Technology is advancing, so we are putting a lot of effort in designing a system that uses the most efficient LEDs and the logistics and everything around the agronomical production. And we are very proud that these numbers are comparable to some of the greenhouses already. So we are entering, and we really hope that the vertical farming sector is going towards this direction and getting closer and closer to the greenhouse, and being one day could be competitive with respect to them. Sorry for the slide. There's a bit of Italian descriptions, but this is just to summarize that the vertical farming production allows us to cut a lot of the steps that you would see in traditional agriculture. So you don't have a multi-environment production where you grow salad on a field and then you transport it in a place where multiple processes have to apply before being shipped to the distribution. But we cut the supply chain and we have it shorter, and so it's more efficient from that point of view. And we put a lot of energy in running our business with the data-driven decisions and optimization. So we have implemented a series of analytical tools and automation that are integrated with a proprietary software, and the software is directly controlling the system. So if you imagine that these operations are all connected, and the result of the operations on the actual devices on the farm, you can think of an irrigation system or LEDs. They are fed back into the system, and we can continuously improve. And if we link that to sensors as we have seen in the previous presentation, and joining multiple data sources such as chemical analysis. Together also with phenotyping, we can make the system much more and more integrated and make it work better in a continuously improvement scenario system. So talking about this, big data analysis and artificial intelligence is a big topic right now. But I want to emphasize that in vertical farming, we are in the right place to leverage the potential of this. And this is because, as compared to traditional agriculture, we are in an environment where we can fully control all the inputs, and therefore the potential of these tools, artificial intelligence, it's much more it's there, and we can get the result of that more easily. So as I was saying before, we have this hub, like internal management tool, where we integrate all the communication with the devices and reading from the sensors and
Sorry.
Yeah.
But you have 1 minute left, if you can.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. And just to say, so as an organization, you can see that the organization is almost equally divided in between agronomists and people from the IT sector. So this is the two main components that that we are focusing on. And just as a final topic, I want to talk very briefly about the marketing side. So as you can see here, this is our proposition to the customers with respect to packaging. And this is a bit of a playful and with an artist touch, nice way of us for us to present ourselves to our customers. But this is just a way for us to communicate our most important claims, which is, as many of you already know, the reduction of consumption of water, soil, and growing these leafy greens without pesticides, and being nickel-free and grown locally. So the marketing activities have worked with this with efficient communication of these claims, leading to recently leading to, in this year, the company has won a prize on for communication, packaging, and design, the one I just showed you. So we are also proud of being effective in communicating the claims and the advantages of vertical farming to the final consumer. So thank you very much. This was our presentation.
Okay.
Andrea, if there is time, I have 2 questions from Alessandro.
Yes, 1 moment. Thank you. Yes, Alessandro. So now we can start the Q&A answer. So everyone raise your hand and I will give you your moment to speak. So, okay, Ali, you can make your questions.
Okay, thank you. So Alessandro, I have 2 questions. My first question is about, I mean, I would like to know how is your company fully automated from the the seeding part, the beginning parts until the harvest? And my second question is, you mentioned in one of your slides that you are in your new facility, you will be using a 10 kilowatt hour per kilogram of fresh weight, which would be almost half of the average use of most vertical farms. How this is done in practice?
Yeah. Sure. So to answer your first question, yes, the new facility. So we are running now in a pilot plant, our current production, let's say, and this is an R&D facility, so it's not fully automated, but the one we are building, so the one I'm presenting in this presentation here, this new farm will be fully automated. So it's fully from the seeding to harvest, so from seeding to packaged product, basically. So it will be fully automated. This is part of the efficiency picture I wanted to give it. And yeah, the number here is impressive. So I wanted to emphasize that to get to an efficient number, we realized that one part of the game is on the manufacturer side. So we need to design the farm in an efficient way, and we need to buy equipment that is efficient on itself. As you can see here, in many of the in all of the vertical farm sources that have been reported in this study, what really makes a difference compared to the other cultivation system is the lights. So as we know, if you look at the literature, so the efficiency of commercially available LED system is growing year over year. So if I compare my system to a system that was from 10 years ago, already you see there is an improvement of, I don't know the number right now, but it could easily be 30%. So this is the first thing. And then the second thing is, since we are an industry that consumes a lot of energy, but also I would add it's an industry that is very expensive to build. We need to produce very efficiently a lot of kilos. So what happens is that you can easily be 20 if your if the yield is low. But when you, so the focus should be you produce very efficiently. So because the light is it's an energy source we need to use, no question about that. But we can optimize the production system with innovative techniques, and using techniques such as multiple cutting and transplanting, and being so efficient that it reduces the amount of input that we give to the plant in order to produce the same amount of product. So this is a game where you should play both on the inputs but also on the output. So consume less but also produce more at the same time, and both together I hope will make us reach more and more values that are comparable to greenhouses. Yeah.
So thank you. The next question is from Luca Gavioli.
Yes, hello everybody. I have a question about the cogenerator. Given that it produces electricity and heat, but CO2 at the same time, if it used to do a carbon fertilization in vertical farm or not?
Yeah, so CO2 supplementation is not really the most expensive input, I would say, but yeah, it could be configured in a way that you do this.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. For the next question, there is Maria Bustamante, but I kindly ask you to be as brief as you can to leave a space for everyone. Thank you very much. Okay, Maria, you can ask.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. Just a quick question, because you mentioned AI, artificial intelligence. I was curious if you could just comment a little bit on what you see as sort of the biggest opportunities for development and how you could use AI, and what are the challenges for you?
Yeah, so actually this is a very interesting question. I would say along our journey, we discover more and more. And when we started, I think we were focused, let's say 95% of our energies on deep learning and computer vision when it comes to phenotyping. So what we wanted to do is artificial intelligence is a lot imaging, first of all, and we wanted to to automatize the phenotyping process and being able to, for example, spot defects in an automatic way and improve the quality of the product overall. While this is true, we realize that that process has also a genetic component that we probably underestimated in the past, and we are shifting into, as Eri said before, we are shifting more into an time series analytics. So we try to analyze the time series of data that is related to our growing cycles in order to learn how we would improve in the next iteration. So time series analysis is not, it could be a kind of a complex analysis, and you need to find, there's a lot of data. We measure, for example, we measure environmental data every 5 minutes. So if you consider a growing cycle of 30 or 40 days, we have a lot of data point of measurements, and we measure temperature, humidity, and many more. And so this is a big field, let's say. So trying to optimize the growing cycle in that way. And one of the most recent topics we are exploring, and I think it's becoming more and more important, once you have a lot of automation in these new facilities that are fully automated, a good part of the artificial intelligence work is focusing on the optimization of, for example, planning and the usage of the machines, planning of
Thank you for the floor. Good evening, everyone. My question is about
Sorry, what happened?
which other crops
Hello?
you plant.
Sorry, Alessandro, it isn't your moment, that it isn't your time. Sorry.
Sorry, you were referring to me?
No.
Okay, sorry.
No, not you, Alessandro. Sorry.
Okay, just a final note to close on my answer. So I think now we divided quite evenly between automatic phenotyping, time series analysis, so continuous improvement of growing cycles and agronomical recipes, of course, and also operational research, so optimization of planning and logistics of automated plants. I hope it answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Now, Armando Pascucci can, if you want, you can.
Yes, I would like to make one question to Alessandro about Agricola Moderna.
Sure.
My question is about the electricity production through the solar panel that for now corresponds to 13%. My question is if the increase of this percentage is one of the main goals for the company in the future, and if yes, which is your idea as a company about it?
No, sure. I mean, solar energy is renewable, and we want it to be as big as possible in the total computation. But unfortunately, energy coming from solar panels is not as constant throughout the year and even throughout the day. So in a sense, these fully automated plants, they have to be operational 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. So there is a limit for the application of solar energy, which corresponds to the time availability of it. So if you look at our energy breakdowns, you'll see that during the peak of production, basically, maybe I can reshare. So the amount of the generator is so the generator is 1.5 megawatts, and the solar panel installation is also 1.5. So when the sun is at the peak production of energy, we could actually cover it all. but of course we need to compensate for the night and the winter and all the days where it's overcast. So that's the simple question.
Thank you.
Okay, now I can leave the floor to Marina Coppolecchia. If you want, it's your time for your question.
Yep, I have a question to Alessandro or maybe also Eri. I wanted to ask you about the quality of light used in the vertical farm. Like, do you use a combination of spectra, or even have you tried different combinations of spectra?
Should I answer first? So what we do in Agricola Moderna is we have of course our R&D departments where we have a variable spectrum lights. So what we do is we continuously run experiments. We varying spectra, and we try to apply it to the commercial production in a way that so there's two ways. One way I guess is to optimize the design of a system where you then build a farm using the employing lights that are already optimized for the type of spectra that you want to obtain. So if you find out that for your production 82% of red and 18% of blue is the optimum, then the cheapest one is to buy lights that can achieve exactly that. Or as we will do in the next farm, we deploy variable spectrum lights. So we will be able to decide when to apply more or less red, blue, green, and so on. So this is the two possible approaches.
Yeah, I think it just depends totally on what you like to do. And then even like optimal PPFD or light intensity will be changed depending on what kind of environment you have, depending on CO2 concentration or air current stability. And so it's just about the combination. And then also considering the light use efficiency, we are growing plants, which is like a three-dimensional structure, so that using the green light might help you penetrating plant leaf if you consider the three-dimensional way. So I think there's some endless discussion. A very interesting topic.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have any much more time to continue with the question, but if you want, you can write on the chat, and the speaker, if they want, could ask you by answering you by writing. So now we can start with the second session, that is light improvements in vertical farming. And I leave the floor to Daphne Avgustaki from the Agricultural University of Athens.
Thank you very much. Hello, I had a change of setup due to malfunctions in internet here. So just a second to share my screen. Can you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much to Ilaria and Francesco for inviting me to this really interesting session that we have the chance to see today. Today I am going to talk to you about disruptive lighting protocols in indoor horticulture, which is a research that I have continued. I started during my PhD and I keep working on right now. I'm an agricultural engineer. I finished my PhD research at Aarhus University of Denmark. And now I'm working as a postdoc researcher at the Agricultural University of Athens on different vertical farming projects, agricultural systems like greenhouses, hydroponic systems, lighting technologies, resource use efficiency, blah, blah, blah. So A brief slide introduction, because most of you here do already know the topic. When we're talking about vertical farms, we mean well thermal insulated growing areas with multiple layers of rows or columns stacked above the other or next to the other. And we have totally replaced, in most of the cases, soil with hydroponic or aeroponic systems. And at the same time, for, again, the majority of the vertical farming applications, we have mainly replaced solar radiation with artificial lighting, mainly LED lamps in our times, that provide the optimum quality, quantity, and duration of the light so we can grow our crops faster and better. However, everything comes with a cost, as we can see from multiple research and business applications. So lighting, generally due to the multiple hourly operation, consists one of the main costs inside vertical farms. As we can see, in terms of operational expenses, the general electricity is around 40%, these are numbers really vary depending on the component and the element of the manufacturer that we have selected to apply into our facility. And if we only focus on the electrical energy distribution, we will see that lighting can be between 60 to 80% in some cases of the farms, which leads them to be around 20 to 25% of the total operational expenses inside the verticals. So my project was inspired by an advantage that we have in the Nordic and Baltic countries, which are significantly characterized by cold and dark climate conditions. And what is happening there is they have a really high vegetable demand, a very big penetration of organic market into their supermarkets. It's around 10 to 15% of the total products that are sold. And at the same time, they import a lot of vegetables from Mediterranean countries, Latin American countries, due to the limited solar radiation that they have. Also, they have a really high abundance of renewable energy, mainly wind energy from wind turbines. That gives them, these numbers are old now with the electricity crisis. They tend to be lower compared to countries like Greece, as we are now, which has the second highest selling price of energy. However, all this energy that they have is mainly generated by renewable energies. So what they have developed in the Nordic and Baltic countries is a trade-off market, a power trading market. It's called the Nord Pool market. So it's a synergy among these countries where they exchange every hour volumes of renewable energy like hydro energy, wind, thermal, or solar energy. So we have a very differentiation in the hourly spot market price, which is defined by the supply and the demand that we have. So every hour we have a different selling price, which is always available one day ahead for the case of Denmark. And they have also promised, announced that this hour will be further reduced to 15 minutes of different prices and forecast of electricity in 2024. So there's going to be even higher flexibility on the volumes and the prices that will be changing. So we have these crossing points that gives a very big variability, as we can see, not only between the days, but also between the different hours. So my idea was how, instead of providing a full photoperiodic session to the plants, let's say for 16 hours, which was for the case of basil during my PhD, what if we could break this photo period to smaller sessions, intervals of light that will in total could provide the total photosynthetic demand that the plants need, but in different timing schedules that we could program based on what would be the electricity market prices. So here I am showing you some of the final results of the PhD for the case of basil, as I mentioned before. And we tested 3 different treatments. In the control chamber, we had a continuous 16 hours of photoperiod for the basil, which according to literature is the optimum photoperiod. And then I reduced the 16 hours with 14 hours. And I also cut them in a very normalized disruptive system with different hours of full hour of lighting provision when the prices are cheaper, and only 15 minutes of light provision when the prices are expensive. But this, as we see, like letter B, is a very normalized system. And usually the electricity is not that normalized, like 4 hours of continuous, 4 hours of intermittent, and so on. So I had to mimic how the electricity prices tend to go. So we have some hours during the night, which the prices tend to get lower. Then the people awake, they have their everyday works to do, they go, the factories start operating, so the demand increases, so the prices also increase. And then again, during the afternoon, evening hours, we have a very big drop until again the prices start getting their different rates. So in the third repetition of the experiment, we mimicked exactly how the daily forecast of prices are going. And we were measuring on the plants different physiological parameters in order to examine how they would react to this on and off, switch on and off of the lamps, if they would get stressed or not, and not only if, but also when. So for how long period of time that would give us a flexibility to plug and play with the lamps. And here I have some of the results on the photosynthetic efficiency. We saw that the plants start getting reacting to this stress on day 29, which is a very good day, as we would say, for basil, as usually it's a 30 days of cultivation growth cycle inside the vertical farm, though we wanted to extend it for some days in order to see how the plants would react in a full mature growth cycle. And we saw no differentiation during the full hours of electricity between the treatments, but also these differences that we saw, the statistically significant difference during the small intervals of light intervals, also affected the total performance of the photosynthetic efficiency of the plants. And then we harvested our plants and we measured them under different quantity indices. We had leaf areas. So here I have an example of the dry biomass production that was significantly higher.
PSI, it's Swiss.
Sorry? Do I continue?
Yes, you can continue. Maybe someone has
okay.
Has the microphone on.
Okay. So we saw that the dry biomass production was significantly increased under the 2 intermittent lighting treatments. And at the same time, the energy demand was significantly lower. As I mentioned before, we had 2 hours of total photoperiod that we were providing into the system from the 16 to the 14 hours. And then we start testing it the last years for many different, all this methodology under different adjustments in various crops. So here I have an example of the cherry tomatoes. that had a similar performance with basil. Again, we can see that fresh biomass was slightly increased, yet insignificantly, though the dry biomass was significantly higher under the intermittent treatment compared to the continuous. And now we have a much bigger database of plants with arugula, valerianella, lamp lettuce. We have tested. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the time is over. If you can arrive to the conclusion, thank you very much.
Thank you. I will just finish into this slide. We actually observed that we can significantly reduce around 20 to 25% the electricity consumption inside the vertical farm, based on what was at the beginning of a case study. So the goal of this research is to synchronize, from the one hand, the dynamic electricity market prices, and on the other hand, the different growth parameters of plants, and provide an electricity price focus system where the lamp switch on and off based on the electricity market prices, but always guided by the optimal growth of plants. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daphne. Now I can leave the floor to Marco Gazzi from the company Flytech. You can start when you want.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Let me share the presentation. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
In the full screen mode or not?
No, we see only the program, not the full screen.
Now?
No.
No?
You can
maybe,
try
Marco, you need to reshare it and choosing the desktop as.
Yeah, okay. Now?
Yes, okay, now is full screen.
Perfect, perfect. First of all, let me say thank you to the organization for the invite. It's a pleasure to meet all of you today. My name is Marco Gazzi. I'm a technical director in Flytech. Flytech is an electronic company located in province of Belluno in the northeast of Italy. And as an electronic company, we follow the whole supply chain from the definition of the requirement to the design of in the production phase of our products. Just a couple of numbers of the company. The company has 35 employees in 2 production sites in more or less 2,400 square meters in total for both sites. And the main focus of Flytech is lighting product for home and industrial scenarios. Usually we start from the customer requirement, and we work a lot with specific customer requirement. I think that our 90% of our products are custom products for a specific customer. And from the customer requirement, we are able to design a sustainable and innovative solution to have at the end a quality product with a customer satisfaction. This schema allows Flytech to have a good relationship and collaboration with many customers all over the world, in different scenarios, from the mariner scenario to building lighting and so on. But not only, because Flytech in 2017 started a collaboration with the University of Bologna, and thanks to this collaboration, we were able to define and created a new typology of lamps suitable for the experiments that the department had to perform in that years. This experiment led with our light led to some publication in an important scientific journal in the next year. Another important step for Flytech, for the part of Flytech that follow the agriculture light, is on the 2021 year, when we started the collaboration with the Foodie project, an Horizon 2020 project. This collaboration with the University of Bologna, specific light lamps
Sorry, Marco, we didn't hear your last words because you were blocked.
Oh, sorry. I repeat. Thanks to the collaboration with the University of Bologna, we were able to design new lamps from the simple lamp with a fixed spectrum up to variable spectrum from 3 and 4 different spectrum in each lamps. And also we have different lamps for different situations. For example, for an interlighting situation, or for example, a vertical farm situation, and so on. We were able to design different lamps for each situation. The collaboration, we not only the lamps, but also a product. We collaborate with the DISTAL, with the University of Bologna, to build some new laboratories. One of them is for example, the LED lab, where we put our campanula lamp, and the lab is formed by 27 cabinets, metallic cabinets, where in each cabinet there is a different lamp with a specific variable spectrum. Variable spectrum means that you have up to 4 different spectrum, and you can change the intensity and also the photoperiod during the 24 hours. For this laboratory, we provided 4 different spectrum For example, there were blue, deep red, ultraviolet, and infrared spectrum, and so on, white, deep red, green, blue. The different spectrum in a different combination. Another important collaboration was the Interlighting Lab, where we provide our fixture lamp for an interlighting solution. Also, in this case, we had a lamps with variable spectrum, and with that cover the requirement of the team. Going on, we collaborated also for the Alma Wood Farm, the vertical farm that Ilaria explained very well at the beginning of this meeting, where Flytech provided the lighting solution. Also here, the lighting solution was composed by a lamp with variable spectrum, and the particular property of this lamp is that the lamp can work has a good uniformity to 10 centimeters between leaf and the lamp. In this way, you can maximize the number of plants that each shelf has. And another important project was the Salus space in Bologna, where we provided the lighting solution for a Mariner container. Also here we put our solution with also with fixed but also with a variable spectrum. The light are managed by software over the 24 hours, and we provide also an IoT solution to control, to manage the system from a remote site. And finally, I will give you a head up of our last collaboration with Distal about a new system, a new grow box for deep water culture. This system is formed by a metallic box with a special anti-corrosion treatment. It's formed by two different independent shells. Each shell has a lighting solution, also in this case with a variable spectrum, has two ventilation fans, and also one air pump to oxygenate the roots. The dimension of this system is important because we have a height of 2.5 meter, width of 1.1 meter for a depth of 85 centimeters. Also, this grow box, all part of this grow box is managed by a software, and that we have developed internally. Okay, just to finally in the last slide I summarize just a list of the publication where we have collaborated, and some events that we have participated in the last years, in the last month. Okay, for me it's okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Marco. Now is the moment for question and answer. As before, I ask you to be as brief as possible in order to have time to make as much answer and question as we can. So the first is Joachim, if you want, is your
There we go. My question is to Daphne. Did the different light treatments affect the taste or the morphology of the plant?
We have conducted different taste assessments, not in the basil, because at the moment we had COVID and every test that we wanted to conduct was blocked at that period. But now we have conducted taste assessment on Valerianella locusta plants. We have seen that it has become spicier. We have seen differences in the thickness of the leaves, in the morphology of the leaves, in the leaf area, very much, in the aroma. So we are in the antioxidant capacity, vitamin C, secondary metabolites have significantly improved. But for basil, unfortunately, we don't have at the moment the data.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now, Michele, it's your turn.
Thank you. I'd like to know from Daphne if they notice some negative effect in a physiologic plant when they tried interval too small or like not minutes but second or a low interval between the different phases.
We haven't tested it in seconds or milliseconds, like a pulse lighting. It's always after a period of 5 minutes, the light interval. And we have seen physiological differentiation also in the photosynthetic rate of plants. But the really important for us is to see the period that the plants will start reacting to this stress condition that we are applying to them, because this is the period that gives us the flexibility on plug and playing. So after the moment that we see the inertia point, the day that the plants start reacting to this stress, we open again the lights in order to cool it down and start reacting optimum as it could be in a continuous photoperiod.
Thank you. Now is the turn of Aurora.
Good afternoon. I have a question to Marco. For you, like about all these projects that you show us, which one was the most challenging to set up? Like after the customer question, like purpose, which one was for you like the most challenging?
Oh, at the beginning, every project has a many challenge. I think that the last one could be, but the last one could be the most, because not we are involved not only in the lighting design, in the design of the light, but also in the design, also the mechanical the mechanical part. And it's not so simple to combine to manage the light requirement with the mechanical requirement and also the customer requirement, because many people are involved in this. But I think the last one is the most.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Someone, anyone?
Maybe if no one else has a question, I can go with one. This is maybe for both from like academia and company point of view. Since LED technology is getting progressively improved, let's say nowadays, according to your experience, maybe where do you think the light market is moving towards? So maybe which are the next steps? Something that is missing and in the future can be further implemented?
I could start if it is okay for you, Marco. Based on the research that we're doing and what we want to explore further, would be a lighting system that takes signals from the lights under different sensors that we have installed inside the system, either sensors of the system or sensors that monitor the growth and development of plants, or physiological sensors, growth sensors. And based on the signals that it is taking, it can moderate the operation of the lighting with a lower or higher intensity, with different photoperiod, different applications. So the plant would have a direct communication with the LED. That would further improve the efficiency of the vertical farming.
Yeah, if I can add something about what Daphne said, probably something that the market is not important at the moment for the market, but in the future could be two points. One of the first one is the use of not only the white light, but a different spectrum in different situations. This, in my opinion, this can lead to save energy because you can optimize the light that you give to the plant. And another important point could be probably a new technology called pulsed light. We are working on this. Our R&D department are studying this technology. Because also in this case, you can go in the direction that Daphne said just before, and to reduce the power consumption, but also to have the same grow result for the plants. This is 2 points that the moment could be have to explore.
Okay, thank you very much. If anyone has some last question, I don't think so. Okay, so we can continue with the third session of our workshop. So the third session is circularity in vertical farming. And so I leave the floor to Lisa Eriksson from the IVWELL Swedish Environmental Research Institute. So welcome, Lisa, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Then I'll share my presentation. Do you see it full screen now?
Yes, it's in full screen.
Okay, fantastic. So let me just start my little timer here so I stay on time. Hi everyone. My name is Lisa Henriksson. I'm an industrial PhD student at the Swedish Environmental Research Institute, IVL, also associated with KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Sweden. And today I will talk a bit about circularity in vertical farming. So how can we apply concepts of circularity to vertical farming? Now, I would say that inherent qualities of vertical farming, the way we see it when it's done well, it is water efficient and it's nutrient efficient. We usually have a circulation of water and nutrient, so in itself it already has a bit of circularity. But I would like to bring up 3 topics and discuss them a bit. So one is material inputs and also outputs. Another is the utilities, so heat, energy, carbon dioxide. And the final is infrastructure. And while the whole idea of my research into circularity is that we can reach a more sustainable vertical farming industry, I want to have this caveat up there that it's not automatically sustainable or, for that matter, automatically profitable just because we have a circular solution. So we must evaluate it both from the perspective of environmental impact and economics, and also in some cases it's relevant to think of the social impacts. So if we say that we start with the materials, one of the main materials that is an input into vertical farming is the fertilizer. And as you know, typically mineral fertilizers are used, but really there could be a lot of sources for fertilizers. For example, in the case of aquaponics, you have fish providing the fertilizers through their metabolism. We could improve the circularity of aquaponics by utilizing food waste to rear insects and use the insects as food for the fish, but potentially insect-treated food waste or the so-called frass from the insect could also be a fertilizer source for the plants. There is also a lot of investigations in Sweden right now about using nutrients from wastewater treatment. There are, of course, concerns, for example, about PFAS, pharmaceutical residues, and heavy metals. Still, this is a human-sourced source of nutrients that might be tricky with commercial acceptance, but it's massive nutrient flows. So I think it's very interesting. It's not a research area I'm personally involved in at the moment, but it's interesting to follow. And then the last one is symbolizes a biogas plant. So biogas digested could potentially also be a source of fertilizers. Another material that we use is growing media, of course. Now, one very interesting possibility is to use spent mushroom substrate to grow, or represented by a tree here. That could really be forest residues, extruded wood products, but also, say, biochar or paper could be used. We could also then find uses for the packaging that we use for our products, say cardboard, and use that as, for example, growing media for mushrooms, and then we take that back. And then, of course, what do we do with the growing media and roots when we have harvested? That this is also a resource, and I put a tractor here as a suggestion that it could be used in agriculture, conventional agriculture. Then if we look to utilities, of course, we have a huge use of heat, whether we are in a cold place and we have greenhouses, they need a lot of heat, or we could also have a heat sources just for maintaining a high enough temperature to grow tropical fruits, or even just tomatoes that can require a higher temperature. And historically, this has often come from burning natural gas. And now that's obviously not the most sustainable choice. But since we don't need a very high level of heat to heat the greenhouse, there are very interesting options to use residual heat from either industry or maybe from houses. I would say it looks probably more promising to use it from industry, but on the other hand, the excess heat generated by the grids that are typically used could be used to heat buildings, whether the vertical farm is located inside of or close to buildings, so homes, apartment buildings, schools, etc. Another is, of course, carbon dioxide. As we know, supplemental carbon dioxide increases growth, and that carbon dioxide is a fairly simple molecule. It could theoretically come from anywhere as long as we know it's safe. So say a biofuel plant that has fermentation, that could be a source of carbon dioxide. But co-location with, for example, mushroom farms or insect farms, which both generate significant amounts of carbon dioxide, could also be an option to supplement carbon dioxide locally and from a, say, biological source. That could also then mean that we don't have to spend so much energy on compressing the gas for transport and also reducing the transport itself. And then finally, water. Of course, rainwater collection is a fairly simple one, but maintaining a good cleaning regimen for your water means that you have a higher water reuse degree within your farm, but there's nothing to say that a water leaving the farm could not find uses elsewhere, for example, in soil-based agriculture. And then finally, so infrastructure, when you look at the LCA of a typical vertical farm, infrastructure is not the most influential parameter. However, if we look at all the metal that goes into it, we have a lot of plastic and piping and other structures. We have, of course, the lamps. That's a lot of materials that can often come from virgin resources. And here is something I have not seen much of personally in terms of large-scale commercial facilities. If someone knows about this, I would be very interested to find out if there is someone using recycled materials for the construction of the vertical farm. I see I also put a plastic bottle here, and that's to represent that there are, of course, more low-tech solutions, which are built using repurposed materials. But I also would like to see something happening in this in the large-scale section. And of course, the building itself, if we don't have to construct a new building, but we can use a building that no longer serves any purpose and just is empty, that will, of course, save us a good bit of climate footprint, but can also be economical as long as it's suitable in other ways. But then there's also the question of what happens when the vertical farm is shut down, when you redesign your operations, when you build something new and scrap the old. Are they made from recyclable materials? Or is it actually that it was sustainable while it was running, but now it's no longer running and we have all these materials, and what do we do with them? So this is something I'm very curious to see if there can be developments in. And please let me know if you know of anyone doing this. And to round off, I would like to say that no vertical farm is an island. So even though this industry really prides itself on being, it can be located anywhere, it can be very independent, I don't see that there has to be a conflict between vertical farming and, the rest of the planet, really. There is both benefits in terms of economics and in terms of climate impact to be found when we integrate the resource and energy flows that vertical farming needs and that it generates with the rest of our food systems. Thank you. And I will also say that the VertiFarm in January, I will be there with the poster presenting on an LCA of an aquaponics company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for your presentation, especially also to respect the times. It was perfect. Now I leave the floor to Daniela Cabral from the company Yasai.
Hi, everyone. Now you just put a bit of pressure on me about the timing, huh? I will do my best. Can you see my screen?
Yes, isn't on the full screen.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank, no?
Now, yes, it's on full screen.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank for the invitation to talk a bit about circularity in vertical farming. I'm Daniela Cabral. I'm a plant scientist at ESI. ESI is a Swiss startup that invests in circularity in vertical systems. So obviously, all started with a big problem in which increasing population and urbanization, losses of land, problems with logistics. After COVID is even worse. So during this time was also when ESI started. The founders had the idea of improving Swiss agricultural system as well. And their question was, should your food really travel more than you? Because, you know, Switzerland imports 48% of all fresh vegetables. And more the political and also the consumers, they are willing to invest in local food produced locally, and vertical farming is an excellent way of representing this by growing food all year long and fresh. So as I said, ESI is a Swiss startup, actually started as University of Zurich ETH spin-off, and already raised more than 10 million francs. With the mission of development of a 100% circular vertical farm accessible to as many people as possible. Currently, we have one pilot farm in operation, which has 1,150 square meters of growth space and grows per year about 2.2 million plants. You can find ESI products in the whole Switzerland and more than 400 retail stores. And what do we do? It's basically high-tech hydroponic farms built with Swiss precision. So basically, it's a hydroponic system that is fully circular. So it's always coming back to the farm, and we do not dump the nutrient solution after a while. We believe that by keeping this nutrient solution running and just adding when it needs more to increase EC or the nutrient concentrations, we create this biofuel, and then we have less outbreaks of pests or diseases. We also believe that by this, we can also help to save fresh water, to use less fresh water and less fertilizers. And the main goal is to have less food miles and zero chemical pesticides. When we talk about what impact we want to do, is that through the integration of vertical farming as a structure, if we talk about United Nations 2030 agenda, we are based on 8 fundamental of these goals. And how do we do that? So basically, we are in continuous development. Commercially, we sell 4 herbs, which is basil, mint, dill, and coriander. But we go as with customer demands. So for example, now we already have for the next farm, Thai basil and rosemary fully sold out, as much as we are trying different salads, baby leaves, and fruits. We also wanted to make use of all good parts of the plants. So for example, we sell premium products. So everything that's not sellable for a customer, we use as side upcycling. For example, roots, or even biomass material can use as cosmetic plants, or as said before, even the mushroom substrates. We also talk to different cosmetic companies and medical companies to see how we can integrate our system, our waste into their business model. So this is the commercial part of ESI, but ESI also holds an InnoSwiss research project. So InnoSwiss is the innovation agency of Switzerland, in which invest in science-based SMEs and startups. And we have a 3-year project, which involves 4 different partners, being the University of Applied Science of Zurich, one of them, FENACO as the Agriculture Association, Agroscope, which is the National Research Center, and ESI as the applicable party, which means that Agroscope and the University of Zurich, they have the same system as we have in the farm, and they test different things that I will show it afterwards. So basically, the goal is to improve vertical farming production and operation efficiency by combining innovative production know-how and technologies with enhanced sustainability. So this approach will establish the feasibility and profitability of sustainable year-round production of high-quality crops. We are now in our second year of this project, and here is summarized what is this LOFT project. First, LOFT is local food for the future, in which we have three main goals, which is optimization of growth, increasing sustainable production, and also profitability, obviously. So by optimization of growth, we together with Agroscope, have a screening, plant variety screening, which means that we take the varieties that have the best yield, but also that looks nice for the clients and that have a high level of essential oil source. And then once we have that, we can apply in the farm and then grow it commercially. The other thing that we are doing is the comparison of different cultivation systems, which means that the same varieties that we first screen, now we are testing two different systems, vertical farming, hydroponic, exactly as in the farm, and in greenhouses in soil. So with this, we can show also what is the phenotypical differences, the yield difference, and essential oil difference too. May be proof to the customers that there is not that much of a difference in taste of vertical farming coming basil, for example. We also try to optimize, the goal is also to optimize actually light and nutrient recipes. So we are using organic nutrients that we can potentially use in the farm, and this way decrease the use of mineral fertilizers. And the same for light. By optimizing the plant recipes, we can therefore have a saving cost in electricity and also less footprint. When we talk about increasing the sustainable production, we have also the same screening for substrates. So we have several substrates from commercial companies in which we show the comparison, what leaches from the nutrient, from the substrate, what it happens when you grow certain crops, which crops grow better with what. And in this way, we aim to use only 100% biodegradable substrates. We currently use the grow foam, for example, in the farm, which is completely biodegradable. We just cut the plants and we throw into the bio-waste station, and that's how it goes. Another part of this packet, the work is to develop packaging and increase shelf life. For example, this was the first packaging of ESI. Now we have a different one, but we are still looking for alternatives to have 100% biodegradable packaging, for example, or that we can use. For example, here I show a package that was produced with basil waste. So all of these alternatives are also part of this project. And finally is the life cycle assessment. So to compare ESI with greenhouses in Switzerland, and then compare with greenhouses in Europe, and then compare with imported products that come from Europe and outside Europe. And with all these results, and with the help of FENACO, it's the Association for Agriculture, we also analyze the results and try to improve the economics. So why do we do all that? Because this is a pilot farm, but what is the main goal is to have an integrated system. Why do I say integrate instead of separate? Because we believe that vertical farms should no longer be understood as food factories, but as an integral infrastructure of the city, because food should be produced locally first, and then new developments should include more than just housing to be livable for the future. So we think about these smart synergies. For example, this is the plan for ESI farm by 2028, in which in a complex of building, we will produce, for example, I can show here, we will give to the community what we produce. In our current farm, for example, the heat we produce is also stored, and it's used to heat our farm during summer, during winter, and also during summer to produce also energy. And we could already, with this pilot farm, which is small, heat a total of an average of 80 houses. So what we want to do next is to integrate this into the smart city concept by using all the means, all the projects that we are doing here to have an integrated system that people can come and buy in our farm locally next to them. And then with our waste, we can produce either nutrients or biogas that's going to go into the heating or CO2 production. So basically, this is the concept of ESI. You can connect with us, enter in our website. We also offer tours in Switzerland if you want to come. And I would like to thank you all for your attention.
Thank you. You also stayed perfectly in times. Thank you.
I was doubting that.
Yes, no, it was perfect. Thank you very much. Now it's again the moment for Q&A. So who want can raise his hand or write his question on chat. Is there anyone who has a question? Here, Elizabeth, yes.
Yes, thank you, Daniela, for your presentation. I must say I'm very impressed and inspired by what you're doing. I wanted to ask if you think that there is, say, to motivate other vertical farms, that are you finding more profitability due to the circularity issues? For example, the heat use, that you may have to spend less money on additional heating. Thank you.
This is a pilot farm, so the goal is not to have a more profitability. We are still in the expansion part, so which means that I don't have an answer to your question of how the metrics are going to go, but definitely this is part of the business model to show how we can save costs by exchanging energy with the city or with other people.
Okay, it's the turn of Francesco.
Thanks to both Lisa and Daniela. Nice to see both of you again. One question for Daniela about the organic nutrients you're using. Can you detail a bit more on that?
Yeah, so actually this is also the trial part. So we buy different commercial biofertilizers, organic fertilizers, sorry. And then we use them, mostly depends on what is the composition in the plants, and we see how they grow. If they lack, for example, potash, or for example, we have one Swiss startup that they only do the nitrogen. So then we try to plan the fertilization with also adding the mineral, but in low level. But this is an initial test. It's right maybe a month ago. And then we are going through the challenge. For example, the organic fertilizers, you have to let them diluted or to rest for 14 days until they enter in the concentration. And after you put in your system where it's diluted, and then you can be adding little by little. But for the moment, this is being tested at University of Applied Science. And when we have the results and if we think it's worth, we will test in the farm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the turn of Maria?
Hi, yes. Thank you both, Lisa and Daniela. That was really interesting. Daniela, I had a question for you. You mentioned that your philosophy is really looking at vertical farming as part of infrastructure in the city. So I was just curious how you think around the size and the type of farms that you're looking at for the future. Is it mostly large farms? Do you think about more modular systems that we also see on the market and being in different on-site?
It would be a big farm implemented in the complex. So when I showed in the image, it will be really in the center, and then around we would have buildings. So this is we have already the plant that is submitted to the city to be approved in where we can build this farm. But will not be a modulated system, would be a farm with maybe, if I'm not mistaken, 20,000 square meters, but this I cannot confirm that this is exactly size because I don't remember right now.
Thank you. Now is the turn of Michele. Michele, we can't hear you. Michele, are you here? Okay, for the moment, so we can skip to the question of Moyedin.
Hello, thank you very much for the presentation. I have a general question concerning the substrates, the use of substrates. So is it thinkable that we can avoid completely the use of substrate, or what do you think? Because it has something with circularity and how to manage the substrate and to recycle them.
I think for the moment it is important to use the substrate for us that we grow from seeds. It's impossible because for us we have the floats that varies also depending on the cultivar. But I know that there are also substrates that they are also degradable during the cycle. So after 15 days, you have your plants that start to grow and then they start to dismantle or to be removed from the solution. My opinion is we need the substrates if we grow herbs like we do, but maybe for salads or other kinds, they might not.
Thank you.
Okay, I ask again if Michele want to make his question, or if he's here, Michele Galetti. No? Okay, so we can continue with the next question.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Perhaps to Daniela or everyone, but especially for Daniela because of the you are using 100% renewable energy, which I think it's fascinating for a vertical farm. I have two questions. One is if you are using batteries or any type of storage, and the other is I'm not sure about what the mix of sources for the electricity in Switzerland is. I don't know what the amount of for the grid electricity. I don't know what the amount of fossil fuels is on the grid electricity. But the question would also be, how do you compare the investments in all those that renewable power versus using the grid? So I'm sure you have an OPEX a lot smaller because of the electricity from the electricity in general. But my question is if the CAPEX is worth the OPEX for what you have.
It's always about in our opinion, it's always about the expansion. So for example, in this farm, probably not because we don't have the CAPEX. I mean, we did the CAPEX, but then everything else is not integrated yet. But then when you put this into a bigger system, then you can do it. In Switzerland, I already have buildings that they use, for example, biogas plants in which they use for heating the apartment. So it's something that it's wanted by the government, and also they give you support to do it. So that's why it makes sense in Switzerland. And about the type, I cannot tell you. I don't have on the top of my mind which kind of storage they use.
Okay, thanks. But
if I may add a comment to that, that in Sweden, where I am, we have a lot of renewable production, but what you can usually do is you can buy your electricity with a guarantee of origin. So then you can still say that you're using the renewable sources. And in the case of Sweden, where it's dark here half year, but we do have a lot of hydropower, and that is working around the clock. So then we don't need battery storage as such, unless you have, like, say, your own solar panels that you are storing electricity from locally. But otherwise, depending on the grid mix, you can of course have renewables available around the clock anyway.
Right.
And I think there is substantial hydropower in Switzerland also. So
yes.
Sure. Yeah. I guess the other question or comment would be, what's more important there? Is it the emissions related to the energy or the cost of the electricity? I guess it's both, right? Right.
Okay, thank you. I see that Michele still raised his hand. Do you want to speak, Michele? Okay.
Yes. Yes, now I can switch on the microphone.
Okay.
My question is for Danila. You talk about other crop like dill, mint, and coriander. So I'd like to know if this is only study screening, or you are already selling this product, and if you are you have intention to try other crops like this.
So we are usually customer oriented. So whatever COP or our clients, they ask us to grow, we optimize the recipe and we say if it's affordable or if it's doable or not. For COP, for example, for the moment they want to just farming commercial grounds. When I arrived at ESI, for example, there was no coriander in the portfolio, and then they want, because it's the most demanded herb in Switzerland. It sells more than basil all year long. So we had to develop a way of growing coriander in our system. And now what they want is rosemary, which is going to be challenged, but we will try our best. And Thai basil. Thai basil grows really easily. So that's why we always try, but according to the demand of the customer. If then a company of a pharma come and says, I would like you to grow calendula, we already have the recipe. We can see how much it goes and how we're going to scale that to growth and integrate in the middle of the farm. But for example, this farm is already at full capacity. We can operate more. So everything we can produce in the pilot farm, it's only 4 crops: mint, coriander, basil, and dill.
Okay. Is there okay. Is there any other question?
Maybe I have a very short question for Lisa. Like, according to your experience in research, and maybe also according to your, let's say, geographical area, do you have like a very flash suggestion for maybe farmers who would like to reach higher circularity in their vertical farm? Which would be your main suggestion?
Good one. I mean, if we're talking environmental impact, the electricity and energy are, of course, usually very heavily influential. And then I think these examples of more local energy supply for both heating and electricity, such as Danila has been talking about, is very interesting. Now, of course, setting up a biogas plant of your own might not be that simple, but having a biogas burner for heat and carbon dioxide could be one option. Of course, organic fertilizers are also interesting, and personally, I think that there's a perspective there that's not just the carbon footprinting, but also just the resource flows that we have on the planet, and to find local connections where you can maybe have integrations with other type of food production or food waste, insects, etc., can also be very inspiring. As I've worked in the industry before and interacted with other companies, it's very inspiring. You can learn a lot from each other. So I would say energy and fertilizers are probably some of the first ones I would experiment with, but organic fertilizers also have their downsides with particles and biofilm formation and smell and all kinds of things. So it's not easy.
Okay, thank you. Now is the turn of Maria.
Hi, thanks again. Danila, I wanted to follow up because you mentioned you're also doing financial work in this project. I'm just curious if you could comment a little bit on what do you see right now? What is the challenge? What do you see kind of need to happen in the market for farms to reach profitability?
That's a very difficult question to answer.
Yes, I know. Just some thoughts would be great.
I think it's always depend on the market you are, or what is your business model, right? Some people, they sell technology. Some people, they sell recipes. Some other people sell herbs. I would say that we are lucky that Switzerland, it's a market where the consumer, it's willing to pay more for a product that it's produced locally. So that's the good point about Switzerland. But how to reach profitability in vertical farming, it's a very broad question. So for us, first, I would believe that is the expansion. So more you grow, more you are optimized with your growth, with your production, automation. That's how you can make profit out of it in markets as Switzerland, where people cost very much. So that's my opinion. After, if I want to say about all the vertical farming industry, I think it's by collaborating and sharing that we can improve. You know, struggles that we pass, it's not going to be the first. Other companies going to have the same. But if we don't share, I will maybe fight 3, 4, 5 months to solve my problem in which other people already have the solution. So for me, it's a community in the vertical system that has to be also more willing to share what they have.
Do you share your data, Daniela?
I'm not allowed to say that.
Not just as you were talking a lot about openness.
But this is my personal opinion. After, it depends on what we say. For example, we already have a shared project that we share all over Switzerland, but this is going to be also published with all the data that we are having from this Loft project. So this is kind of sharing the thing. About technology, I cannot comment on that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much to the two speakers. Now we will have 5 minutes of break. Unfortunately, we are late. We have to take the time back. So we will see here in 5 minutes. Thank you very much to all for the question and to the answer. See you later. Okay, now I check if there are the other two speakers. Roberta and Giovanni, are you here? I saw Roberta. Oh, so hello, perfect. So, welcome back. We can start now with the fourth and last session of this day, that is New Frontiers in Vertical Farming. And the next speaker will be Roberta Bulgari from the University of Turin. So thank you, Roberta. Welcome to speak.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
No?
Okay, so now?
No, we see only
Okay.
Teams. The
Sorry.
yes, yes, don't worry.
Mm. Mm.
Se non riesci, se vuoi posso provare a
It
chiedere alla mia...
works now?
No, no.
If you want,
If you want,
Oh,
I can ask to Ilaria to share the presentation for you.
Okay, if you want, thank you.
I see.
I try again, but
Now we see the presentation. I don't know, but it's your Ila. Okay, okay. So if you want, we can make it this way, so you can say next when you have
okay, thank you very much.
the page.
Okay, so thank you and good afternoon to everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Roberta Bulgari from University of Turin. And next slide, please. And I work at the Department of Agricultural, Forest and Food Science in Grugliasco, in the group of vegetable crops and medicinal and aromatic plants. And today in this session, I will show you the technologies we have and some of our experiments, especially with regard to indoor cultivation system. Next slide. Here you can see listed the activities of our group, and this includes also urban horticulture and advanced production system. Next slide. We are also involved in the V-Farm project with the colleagues of Bologna, so with Francesco, in particular with trials involving the cultivation in vertical farm of such species. Next slide, please. Like vegetables and herbs, for example, basil, microgreens of Lamiaceae and Apiaceae family, edible flowers, and also spices. Next slide. Today I want to introduce you specifically to PFOL typologies that we are working on. So on the left of the screen, you can see the two microtypes that are mid-tech and aerotech. And on the right part of the screen, the mini type, that is a container type, the Smart Mic eMic 3. Next slide. Starting from the microtype mid-tech, this is a commercial vertical hydroponic module equipped with LED lights, in particular red and blue, and we can divide it as divided into U units, a recirculating hydroponics and shelves for microgreens production in trays. In this microtype, we have already performed some experiments. For example, here you can see one of these trials, and this is an experiment on dill microgreens, biofortified with selenium. In fact, we apply a priming with selenium on dill seeds, and then put them in cultivation under greenhouse condition and in indoor farm system, so in this mid-tech. Next slide. Without going into the details of the experiment, here you can see a graphical representation of the experimental plan. In this slide is reported the experiment related to the glass house cultivation of microgreens. Next slide. Instead, in this graphical representation, you can see the same procedure, but repeated in indoor cultivation environment. And what we observed during this trial, the priming that we applied to the seeds with selenium is a good technique to produce biofortified microgreens, because in fact we highlighted an increment of selenium concentration in our microgreens. And also we observed that the environment of cultivation has an influence on the yield and also on several quality parameters that we study on these plants. Next slide, please. Okay, so here you can see another experiment performed in the mid-tech regarded is, in this case, a foliar spray treatments on dill at the stage of baby leaves. The biofortification work was performed also in this case with selenium, but we also applied a salinity stress to the plants. And in fact, the aim of this trial was to observe the uptake of selenium by plants, also in condition of abiotic stress. And so in this case, we observe interesting results, as that the salt stress enhanced the selenium accumulation in plants, and the salt stress applied didn't affect the growth of dill plants. And moreover, the plants subjected to salt stress and selenium biofortification show an higher quality compared to the other treatments. Next slide. And again, the last example that I show you today in a mid-tech system, we carried out a preliminary test on several species candidates for the production of microgreens, grouped by growing cycle duration. So we study in particular the germination times in this growing condition, and also the cycle duration. And also we perform several analyses to characterize them, for example, to observe the variation of antioxidant compounds, of phenols, chlorophylls, carotenoids, and so on. Next slide, please. And here there are some pictures of the last test described on microgreens, and we can see microgreens, for example, of Cichorium indivia, Raphanus sativus, and Pisum sativum. And moreover, trials are planned in this kind of growing system to biofortify red and green basil with iodine in the next coming weeks. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we can talk about the aeroponic system, Aerotech. This is a system under construction, and the structure consists of two modular shelves, which can be adjusted according to the characteristics of the cultivation tanks, as well as to the distance of LED lights. In particular, there will be two different LED installations from two different companies to compare, to define the best cultivation protocols to produce vegetable products like baby leaf, edible flowers, and also tomato. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned before, the aim of this trial example shown is to calibrate cultivation protocols, also in collaboration with private companies, to optimize indoor vegetable production, to also obtain the so-called superfoods, increasingly in demand by consumers. Next slide, please. Okay, moving to the mini type, so to the container type Smart Mic IMIC free. Unito di Zaffa and Sea Marconi have designed a cultivation system for the production of food or functional products with high added value, also using, if possible, the outputs deriving from urban and industrial waste and wastewater as CO2, water, and bionutrients. With a view to avoid the wastefulness of resources. As I said before, this system is a container type. Next slide, please.
Roberta, can you start to conclude, please, that the time is...
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So this container is designed for experiment on different types of high value add crops using a soilless cultivation system, in particular hydroponic and aeroponic, that are located in two separate rooms. And this modular unit is also includes the green walls. And in particular, for this aspect, we in collaboration with the students of the university and the company, within a student contest, we prepare some proposals, next slide, that you can see in these two final slides of my presentation. So, for example, the students prepare a proposal with an idea of a beehive structure with species like lavandula and rosmarinus. Next slide. Or a proposal to use officinal plants in a wall and instead another wall that deals with the evolution of plant species. So to improve also the aesthetics of this container type. Okay, thank you for the attention. I've concluded my presentation, and thank you for the invitation again.
Thank you very much, Roberta. Now it's the turn of Giovanni Scalabrini from Scalabox Farm. And please, you can start when you want.
Hi. So, thank you very much, first of all, for this opportunity. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, but it's still small. Can you put it in full screen, please?
Now?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. I feel a little bit weird being among so important stakeholders and being so, let's say, yeah, we are a little company and we are about a newcomer in the world of vertical farming, even if it's already 3 years that we are engaged with this challenge. As you can see from our logo that we transformed from Scalabros, our standard logo, to Scalabox Farm. Because during the, so we are normally producing components for buses and coaches and vehicles in general. But during 2020, because of the pandemic, we had to find new business opportunities because like from most of the world, our traditional business dropped as we are also involved in the tourist industry, especially because our customers make coaches and buses for public transportation. And then I had also some more time. I have always been committed to circular economy, but for personal interest, let's say. And I had read a book by Gunther Pauli, the founder of the Blue Economy. And I read that it was possible to crop mushrooms with rest of coffee. So during this time of the pandemic, I had some more time and made some experiments at home, and so it was working. And I started to collect more information on the internet, and I found out that especially in Northern America and Northern Europe, there were already people and companies working with vertical farming into containers. Then I had the idea together with my partner and brother that refurbishing a transport container could be similar to fitting a bus or a coach, because you need also the air conditioning, lighting, LED lightings, water pumps, and so on. So we thought we could invest some of our money into such a project and bringing our know-how from the automotive industry, the electronics and mechanics especially, into such a project. So we started almost as a game, let's say, but also with the commitment of our workers and employees, we could reach very important result, which was together with the University of Bologna. So we supplied already 2 container boxes, one for mushrooms and one for microgreens, to the Salus Space, which belongs in the project of Horizon 2020 in Foodie. And of course, we are improving day by day, but our main target is to develop a software which can control the parameters which are needed into the vertical farming, like temperature, humidity, power consumption, of course, all these issues that the people who talked before me have already analyzed. And we are focusing mainly on the mushroom project, because we saw that on the market there is less I would say interest on that, but we think it can be very, very interesting also from a business point of view. And so we decided to focus on the production of the containers, because we saw also there a circular possibility, and we think it's easier to control the parameters inside there than in traditional facilities. And of course, and then with this, I can maybe answer a little bit to the question that Lisa put before. So there is a circularity project within that, because we aim to use pre-owned containers, which should be disposed, but we give them a second life, and they can be used also afterwards their life cycle for other purposes like warehouses and so on. But it's much easier to control the vital parameters like temperature, and with less consumption of water and all needed stuff for that. And in the beginning, we thought also to urban farming, and to the fact that you can use these containers more or less everywhere. But we have been contacted now also from industrial producer for big production, because they have, like in Italy, for instance, problems to produce like mushrooms in big facilities during the summertime, while they can combine their traditional production with container boxes. Now we have already produced the first 4 or 5 containers, and we think that next year we will be able to let the company Scalabox work with its own legs. So probably we will make a spin-off from Scalabros, and we think we will open this project also to external stakeholders or new investors. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Giovanni. Thank you to have stayed in time. And now is the time for the last Q&A moment. So if some of you has a question, this is the time. Is there anyone? Okay, Maria, yes.
Hi, thanks again for really interesting presentations. Giovanni, I just had to ask because I think your story is fascinating, kind of pivoting from or working with the automotive industry and then this. I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about that experience in terms of the relationships and the working, and what's really been the biggest challenge for you in terms of actually entering the space as sort of a vertical farming after?
So the most challenging thing was to start and to find out that our expectation when we started with were completely wrong. So buses and vertical farming are completely different. But what is similar, yes, some of the components, but of course they have to be adapted to the different world they have to work with. But at the same time, yes, the opportunity to work with the University of Bologna helped us a lot. And the fact that we had this first prototypes in the Salus space gave us a big chance, because there we had just to meet, Prof. Orsini and his staff, but also some students, and to collect many contacts, and also to get in touch with students and everybody and other partners, like other companies working around that. And like it was said before, it's very important to share the information that you have, and coming and getting information from different fields brings things to be faster. So I think, as I said before, we feel really being newcomers, because we come also from different field. But in 3 years, we made many important steps. And I think, as I said before, that maybe for next, all what we did till now was with our own money, let's say. So we had no subvention from outside, but we think that we can open the idea soon to other investors, because it's becoming more and more interesting. I don't know if I answered your question.
There is a question from Elizabeth, but I don't know if it's for Roberta or I think it's for Roberta. She's asking, are you still working with coffee grounds for mushroom farming? No, I think it's for Giovanni, maybe.
So we do, and we think it's possible to do that. It's not easy to find the ready substrate to be used. It's much easier to find a common substrate for mushrooms, but it's a very good idea, and it's also one of the possibilities we see in the future developments of the company, to prepare substrates with rest of coffees. Of course, not all kind of mushrooms can be earned or cropped on coffee rest, but some of them, like shiitake or king oyster and oyster, can be easily cropped on that.
Thank you very much. Now is the turn of Alessandro to ask his question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is also for Giovanni. Thank you for the presentation, and indeed very fascinating idea. So I enjoyed it. I was curious about what are the energy requirements for this container farms, and also the first thing that came in to my mind is it would be so the idea, I find it great, because you can move these containers around all over the place, and I guess they are also easy to readapt.
Yes.
So I was wondering how this came into your discussion, when and how do you think to develop your business model based on this?
So the idea. Sorry. No, about the consumption. So we are still collecting that data, of course. Also to the first question of Maria before. So when we started and we started cropping the first mushrooms or microgreens, We were enthusiastic because we had great results, but we had just a few little boxes inside the container. And then when we started the real cropping with hundreds of substrates of mushroom, for instance, we saw that all our data and parameters were completely wrong, because of course it's different if you have 10 mushrooms or if you have some hundreds, yeah, also for the behavior and the CO2 and heat, everything. Also for this, we were enthusiastic at the beginning because we saw that even with 40 degrees outside and a little air conditioning plant, and just 15 minutes working time, you could have about 16, 18 degrees inside the containers for 3 or 4 hours. But then when you have a populated container, it's completely different. So we had to change this. But of course, the power consumption is much less than in a big facility, and also and water consumption as well. But you know that better than me, I guess. And using it inside a controlled environment is much less than in traditional agriculture. About the possibility of business development, so we think there are great possibilities because of also what you said. No, you can move them, you can bring even closer to the consumer. We thought at the beginning just for circular economy, so for little companies, not huge companies, like maybe you became quickly. But we think that a container or two can make sustainable little companies of 3, 4, 5 people, but bringing production much closer, so even in cities. And if you investigate this sector a little bit, you will see that in Northern America, as I said before, is very much used, also because they have less bureaucracy than we do have in Europe or in Italy especially. But I think the potential is huge.
And all you need to do is just to, when you move it around, is just to plug it in. So just find a source of energy, electricity, and then you're set.
Yes. So when we deliver a container, it's ready to be used. We have a remote control possibility with internet to control the parameters, and then what we are implementing is to see if and how much, let's say, freedom of modifying the parameters and the settings we will give to the customers, or which we will control from far away. But you can use it. Yeah, we had an article a few last year on a magazine about startups. And the title was "The future of, I think, cropping is in the middle of the sea." So, like, we had some contacts with crews because they say, "Oh, we can produce into a container directly on the ship, on the vessel." So, or we have contacts with poor countries. I would say poor in water resources. Yeah, so you can use them into the desert, control easier the temperature inside and the parameters, and use like 19% less water. So you could use them more or less everywhere. We are getting almost every week 2, 3 inquiries, also from Italy, because people see, you know, with weather changes inside the container, you are protected. So you do not need to get worried about floodings, about gravel, about wind. So it has really lots of potential and answer a lot of questions. Of course, the most important struggle is to make it profitable. Yeah, So we want to reduce as much as possible the cost to make it possible to be paid back in a very quick time.
Okay, thank you very much. Is now the turn of Margot.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I had a question for Giovanni. Just a curiosity, I don't know if maybe you already said it and I missed it, but the first was if the technology was already possible, like if it was already possible to apply the technology to any kind of mushroom groups or only some of them, and also if maybe in the future you see this type of technology and growing applied also to other maybe study areas such as medical ones instead of only like for food. And that's it.
Yeah, so we think more or less so all mushrooms or plants which can be grown in-house can be cropped inside a container. There are some kind of mushrooms like I don't know the name in English, sorry, porcini, maybe Prof. Orsini can help me.
Yeah, but I'm Italian.
Okay, porcini. Okay, so they cannot be. So they grow in a symbiotic way with the trees, so they cannot be grown inside or truffles. They cannot be grown inside a container, but other kind of mushrooms, yes. Then you have to find out which is the combination between the price of the market of the mushroom you want to crop and which one maybe is not interesting from a business point of view because it has a too low price on the market.
Okay, thank you.
But of course, sorry, also medical mushrooms can be cropped.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Now is the turn of Ilaria.
Yeah, I have a very short question for Roberta. It's mainly a curiosity. You mentioned it like maybe it's not implemented yet, the smart MIC, but you mentioned it like using output from urban and industrial waste and wastewater. Do you have already like a practical example of which one or?
Okay. First of all, Ilaria, thank you for your support for the presentation. No, unfortunately not yet, but the idea is that this kind of container will be placed in the cities. And so or for example, on the top of buildings. And so we will be able to reuse some outputs, as I said before, as CO2 or water, hot water, or bionutrients to use them like biostimulant, for example, to improve the quality of the plants. And so from a point of view of researcher, we are very interested in the enhancement of the quality of our products, but it's also important look to the sustainability of these kind of growing systems, and also to reduce and avoid, as I said before, the wastefulness of resources. And so we think that is important also to deepen this aspect in this production system. Okay.
Thank you very much. Now there is a last question for Giovanni from the chat. We need to be very fast because the meeting is closing. And is, do you ever deal with pathogens during cultivation like bacteria or mold?
Yes, this is a very important issue that you have to try to control. Of course, inside a container, as it is a box, it's easier to control this, but you have to be very careful about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we are going to conclude our workshop and our session. So I would like to thank all the speakers that have spoken today and all the participants for their question. So I think these records will be also available. And thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
I don't know if Professor Francesco Orsini wants to say something.
Just a couple of conclusive words. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to Andrea, Ilaria, and Alessandro for organizing this session, and to all the speakers for intervening. I see that Eri lasted until the end, and it's probably quite late at night now in Japan. So thanks a lot to all of you for having this nice and interactive session this afternoon. We'll see you the next time, and hopefully I think all the speakers that intervened today will also be at Vertifarm in Bologna in a couple of months, so we will also have the chance to talk again in presence there. Thank you.
See you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.